thanks for coming. My name is Katie Zacharias. I'm a principal technical specialist at Microsoft and in the manufacturing space. So really I work with our enterprise manufacturing customers, and really I'm focusing on your business processes, how to help streamline different processes, how to connect workers to each other. Really trying to focus on those types of efficiency type gains within customer service, field service, and mixed reality. I think there's never really been a more exciting time to be a manufacturer. We have our pains, certainly, supply chain, things like that. But we really are at the forefront of a lot of innovation, from autonomous vehicles, making sure everything is connected products, from your toaster to your automobile to your piece of equipment on the plant line. And so I really think that it's an exciting time for innovation and being able to be in the forefront of a lot of just really, really cool things that are happening across our world. I said us because Microsoft is also a manufacturer, and we always think of us as a software company, but we also are a manufacturer. We have tens of thousands of SKUs that ship out of many tens of manufacturing or manufacturing facilities, and so we really do think of ourselves as a manufacturer as well as a software provider. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, good. Wasn't sure if that was advancing. So if you've talked to us, if you've talked to any of the local Microsoft reps, you've seen this slide. This is really our foundation for Industry 4.0, and the pillars that we find are the most important when it comes to that. Why am I talking about all of these pillars and showing this full all-up slide is what you'll find out is that mixed reality is embedded in each and every one of these pillars. Things like transforming your workforce, being able to create and combine productivity apps and intelligent cloud services to be able to be more efficient, and making sure that security is woven into each and every of these areas. Engaging customers and engaging your plant workers, being able to make sure that there is a good customer experience across manufacturing at every single aspect of it. Obviously being able to build more agile factories. I need to look at my slide here. Building more agile factories and being able to understand how everything can be connected. How can we visually see things that we're prototyping, things like that. And then of course, as we strive for a more sustainable and resilient industry and plants, we want to make sure that we're providing technology that supports that and helps with your sustainability goals. So it's kind of like the elephant in the room when it comes to mixed reality. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone has a different definition. No one really actually knows what that definition is. Every single person has their own kind of vibe when it comes to what is metaverse. A lot of what you see on social media or on TV commercials and things like that, metaverse is really talking about that. Let me see there. Metaverse is really talking about that consumer base of the ecosystem. Like how do I engulf myself into a experience? We think of it more in the industrial metaverse on the manufacturing side. How can I connect all of my systems together securely and be able to see an actual picture of all of those systems working together? The manufacturing industry, we're used to IoT connected devices. A lot of our equipment has had to be IoT enabled in some form, for decades really. But adding that to the additional pieces of equipment, being able to understand exactly what they're doing, and then connecting the entirety of our ecosystems together, so we can apply things like machine learning to understand, when a potential breakdown is going to happen with that piece of equipment, and understand exactly, when I walk up to a piece of equipment, can I see the information about that and understand what I need to do next? That's really how we think about a metaverse, how to interweave all of these applications together, make sure that it's in a secure way. And of course, we do that all within our Azure. Today, for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to be focusing on that interact that interact section of the metaverse. How do we interact with this data? How do we ensure that we bring this data to the people that need it when they need it? How do we help support them in learning how to apply maintenance to our pieces of equipment, or how to ensure that we can interact and update data as well while we're on the fly, while we're on that plant line, while we're at our customer servicing a piece of equipment. So we really, really want to make sure that we can support those processes, and that's really what our industrial metaverse means to us, that being able to connect, being able to see the data where you need it, and have the data work for you. So I like to always start with, what is mixed reality? How do we think of mixed reality? And how does it play a part in this evolution, both within our Industry 4.0 initiatives as well as our metaverse initiatives? And how can it help transform your business? We like to think of mixed reality technology on a spectrum. And that spectrum starts from augmented reality to virtual reality. Augmented reality can be something as simple as your Instagram filters on your phones, right? That is a part of augmented reality. It's adding stars to your face, or whatever else kids are doing. So these things can operate on the applications and the hardware that you have in the palm of your hand right now. So that is the very, very bare minimum of truly what augmented reality is. And then we get into things where we can start having wearables, being able to see how a piece of equipment looks on a plant floor, or how our customers, how our product can look in our customer's space. Another form of augmented reality. And then we get to the other side of that spectrum with that virtual reality. Hey, I'm putting on a full headset and I'm able to be engulfed in my experience. I cannot see the things around me. I am fully in that experience, and I am, seeing everything that's associated with that. And there's a lot of value within that spectrum as well. What we'll focus on more today is our augmented reality and how that helps, because a lot of the manufacturers that I talk to, they want to use mixed reality in areas that they can't not see their surroundings. They have to be able to see what's on that plant floor as they're walking it. They have to be able to see what's happening around them as they're working on that piece of equipment. And so how augmented reality can help with training and all these different types of areas within our business to ensure that we keep safe while we're on the job, and we're able to still support and still get the value of mixed reality that it can bring to our business. So I think also you've probably seen this or some version of this in presentations. I always like to just quick mention it, because I talk to a lot of people where they're like, mixed reality, if they're not doing it, which we have, I've met a few people that are using our mixed reality products here in the room. If they haven't been using it, they don't really think anyone else is. They think that it's more of a futuristic type scenario, and it really isn't. We really think of it as our fourth wave of computing. Again, blending that digital and physical world and ensuring that we have the capability to be able to enhance our space. I think I saw a commercial during the Super Bowl where they were talking about, the metaverse, virtual reality. It's saying, so we're never going to be connected again, and we're never going to have interpersonal relationships. And I like to think of mixed reality on the opposite of that. It's allowing people to have better relationships, because that expert can stay at home with their family, not be on the road, 360 days of a year, and be able to still provide really, really valuable support to their ecosystem. So in my mind, a lot of it is connecting people when they otherwise can't or shouldn't be connected. Of course, in the COVID area, this really catapulted it, because we couldn't travel. We couldn't, bring people to our plants to be able to help prototype and things like that. So it really is an important computing type platform to be able to start thinking about within your business, and think how it can also, help individuals at your business. So where do we focus, and where does Microsoft and the manufacturing space focus when it comes to our mixed reality and what we're thinking about, especially in manufacturing? And it really is this 2 billion strong first line worker ecosystem. How can we empower them? They are the first to see the product take shape. They are the first where they have to have an opportunity to address an issue either at the client or on the plant floor. They're the first to create kind of like a lasting impression also with our customers if they're out there servicing our equipment and things like that. And so, examples of these people are obviously, call center personnel, your field service workers, your production workers, maintenance workers, for sure. So in this time of digital transformation, and previously social distancing, their potential really could be unlocked in really whole new ways by using technology that helps support their business and making sure that they have the information that they need when they need it. And I'll go into a little bit more of how that's supported here in a moment. So we really want to be arming them with the tools that they need to do their job really, really well and feel confident in their job. And also, hopefully, start retraining them a little bit better, because we all know that has been a really, really big issue is how do we attract and how do we retain folks on those plant floors, those first line workers, and it's really rooted in a lot of this saying here. There really is a high cost when knowledge is not where you need it, when you need it, especially, we all know how expensive it is if a piece of equipment is down for an extended amount of time, waiting for somebody to travel to go maintain it, or, a server's down, or, any of those types of things. We really want to make sure that we can support the fact that that knowledge needs to be there, and it needs to be there quick. And how can we get that? And, studies have shown that classroom training is kind of somewhat forgotten once you're out in the field. A little ironic, because I feel like I am in classroom training right now, so hopefully you remember some of the parts of this presentation. But you can go to our booth and try on the HoloLens after and get that real world experience. But we want to make sure that people have the tools that they need and stay safe while training, and be able to be hands-on and be able to perform these actions hands-on in the field. And so these are our three main areas that we kind of focus on when it comes to mixed reality and manufacturing. And we really think that these three main areas are where we have the greatest impact to apply mixed reality. And they look very, very similar, or they're more so like condensed versions of that industry priority scenario, those 5 industry priority scenarios that you saw previously. So transforming our workforce. Being able to have that experiential training, being able to make sure that training, that the hands-on, pictures are louder than words, visuals are more memorable than audibles. Hands-on is the most effective training that you can provide. So how do we do that, and how do we make sure that we're not having a bunch of product on the floor line when somebody's trying to train how to, run a plant line? And that's really one of the main areas that we can see a lot of benefit from mixed reality, because it's telling people, and I'll get to the applications and see how others are using it as well in a minute, but being able to have those things there to be able to show them exactly where to put their hand and exactly where not to put their hand on a piece of equipment, to make sure that plant line is moving quickly. Obviously, having more agile factories. So being able to have virtual audits and inspections. I was talking to the Chevron guys, and you'll see a video of theirs, but being even able to have those virtual inspections on an oil rig. So you're not sending 10 people out there to do an inspection, being able to do that virtually and have a more immersive experience while doing so. I have an organization that also did this, that the first summer of COVID, they had about 100 interns that they were like, these folks can't get on the plant floor, but we need to be able to get them excited about this industry. How are we going to do this? They did that through mixed reality. And so those interns could sit at their desk in their home and jump on a Teams call and see mixed reality within that Teams call. And so being able to also, attract some talent when it comes to how you're, another way of training and another way of exposing them to our industry and making sure that they feel excited about it. And then of course, being able to, unlock that innovation and deliver new services, being able to have a more connected field service option, both for plant maintenance as well as if you are performing any kind of field service externally for your customers. How can we help them with our equipment? How can we help them with our products to make sure that we really provide a really, really nice system? There also is, I talked to a lot of manufacturers that have, are really once removed or twice removed from that with working through their dealers, but even empowering their dealers to be able to use this type of technology and get assistance back to, back to corporate for some of the help that they're providing. And one of the main things that's not on here is, and I always like to mention, is a lot of these use cases also align with your sustainability goals. We all have them. It's what keeps us resilient in the market, and it's stuff from resulting in less travel to less waste on the factory floor because they're doing it the right way the first time and not having to kind of utilize any kind of waste. So one of the I always like to talk about customers pretty quick because people want to know, cool, but is anyone using it? The answer is yes. And what is the benefit? What benefits are they seeing when they're using this technology? Thermo Fisher is one of the people that have gone, and you're going to see through a lot of my customer stories, that first keynote where he was talking about the top 25 companies that are leading digital transformation. You'll recognize a lot of logos from that slide in my customer use cases for mixed reality. And there's a reason for that. They're adopting new technology. They're making sure that they're utilizing it to their best ability so they can be in the forefront of transforming the way that they're operating each and every part of their business. So Thermo Fisher, they implemented a new virtual inspection system that enabled them to consistently meet stringent compliance measures on time. The training that Suntory had employed reduced, let me take a look. Yeah, reduced the hiring time by 70%. Being able to have that more contextual training, they're able to get people up to speed on both new hires, but also existing processes and ensuring that they understand what they're doing. And Ecolab is a huge user of really all of our Microsoft products, but mixed reality, especially when they had to go out to customers and help them, being able to have on the field assistance through mixed reality to be able to do more first-time fix rates and things like that with their equipment. So what are some of the applications that we use to support mixed reality first party at Microsoft? I'll get into that HoloLens, but one of the first ones is our remote assist. And this is really the ability for, it provides first-time calling, it provides the ability to call an expert. And it works on Microsoft Teams. And what it does, and I'll show a better video of this in here in a moment, but what you'll see on this is you'll see a little annotation arrow. Basically what it does is you can call an expert or you can set up a meeting with a few people and have them all have this capability, but they're able to actually annotate within your space to show that person exactly what they need to do. Or on a virtual inspection, hey, what about this? Or on a safety check, this looks like a safety issue on the plant floor. So it's able to have a call that really sits on Teams, but they're able to have that additional annotation, mixed reality annotation within there so you can see exactly what you need to do, when you need to do. The next application is more of a training application. I always like to call it PowerPoint on steroids. And what it does is it brings the training to the floor or to that piece of equipment. And so folks can actually put on that HoloLens and then they can be in front of that that piece of equipment or be on that plant line and be able to have actual arrows that show them exactly where they need to do their next step. Exactly, where to turn that wrench. They can, walk to some product on the line and be able to pick that product up and bring it back to the equipment. And the other thing that's really, really powerful about it and that I really like is you also are able to warn them of safety hazards on that equipment. So being able to put a huge holographic warning sign saying, do not touch this area has really helped in a safety perspective to ensure that people aren't getting also hurt on our plant lines. Finally, I always like to mention Power Apps because Power Apps, you can embed, they have a lot of mixed reality components within these applications. Things that seem super, super basic, but can be so, so helpful when you're creating a little low-code. And for those that don't know Power Apps, it's our low-code, no-code, low-code platform. And so let's say, prime example, you have, your part of your ordering in SAP, you have another part in another system. You can create a Power App that fronts that information where people can see it and then also update that information on the fly. And they don't have to go into SAP. They don't have to go into your other systems. But you can also embed mixed reality components within Power Apps. Things like, if you need to take a measurement with your phone and being able to use mixed reality to do that within that Power App as part of your process that you build within there. Or being able to visualize a piece of equipment on the plant floor. So that hologram is there. We've all used it for things like, IKEA or Target when you're purchasing a piece of furniture and you want to be able to see what that couch looks like in your space, being able to drop that couch into your living room and see exactly what that is. Same aspect can be applied to manufacturing, both on the plant floor, but also for our customers when they're purchasing some of our product. Usually I ask for questions at some point, so I don't know. This is a big room, but if anyone has any questions as I go, please let me know. Barkley. Yeah. Love that question. So from a mixed reality from these three components, a lot of people are using Power Apps, but it's kind of more of like, that's such an easy entry in, right? Like I'm gonna drop a holographic image in here and be able to do something. Where we see the biggest traction with manufacturers first and foremost, because it's an easy way to dip your toe in the mixed reality world, is within remote assist. Because remote assist, and I'll get into some of the more the details of how these applications work, but remote assist, because it works on your HoloLens, but also your iOS and Android devices, people can just download that app on their HoloLens or their mobile device and be able to call someone, and that other person on the line or that other people on the line just need Teams. And then when they answer that call in Teams, they get an extra toolbar within that application that allows them to place those mixed reality components into that remote assist user's space. And so the barrier to entry is super, super low because most people have an iOS or Android device, tablet or mobile, and a lot of our organizations are already on Teams. So that is the first one that people kind of dip the proverbial mixed reality toe into the system because they're trying to figure out, like, does this make sense? Is this something that is going to really, really, really resonate with our organization? They do fairly quickly get into guides because the training aspect of that and the certification aspect of that is just really, really powerful as well. But definitely mixed reality, and then they kind of mess around on the mobile and go from there. Yeah.
Bruce Marvin from, is this on?
So.
Georgia Pacific. Can you talk a little bit in the center where you use guides and talk about its location aware, how it is location aware? Does it key on the actual, say, I think that was an example of an engine that somebody was working on, an engine, or is it the area, the work area itself that it's location aware?
So you have a couple options when it comes to guides, and I'll get into a little bit of this in a bit when I go deeper into the application. But really what it's doing is your first thing is, can the device, the hardware that you're using running this application, can it scan your ecosystem and see what's going on around it? HoloLens, yes. When you put that on, if you haven't yet, it's going to scan your area and get a feel for exactly what you're doing. From a guide perspective, you have a bunch of options to what we call anchor it to that piece of equipment. You can do things like QR codes and scanners and things like that to anchor that to that piece of equipment. But we also we have a bunch of services within our Azure space. And one of those is Azure Object Anchors. And that's built into the platform. It's not something extra you have to purchase or anything like that. But one of the things that Azure Object Anchors allows us to do is it allows for our application to scan the system and then identify a piece of equipment in that space and pop up the appropriate guide to be like, is this the guide that you need? Because I'm recognizing this piece of equipment as it. Then you might have a couple guides for that piece of equipment, and you can select from there. And I'll show some of what those screens look like and what that looks like in here. But then on that piece of equipment, you might have things like, it might be a general training type thing, but it could be, hey, I need to do a line changeover and I need to see what that looks like. I'll show a little bit of that so you guys can see what that looks like in truly the real world. So what does it all work on? I've mentioned it a few times. Of course, there's areas within the applications that work on the device that you all have in your hands right now. But we also do have the HoloLens 2, and it really is the leader in augmented reality headsets. This is our HoloLens 2. We started with the HoloLens 1, and it really is that heads-up, hands-free experience to be able to see more of your space. If you did HoloLens 1, it was a little smaller view. It was not balanced as well on your head. The HoloLens 2 has really made it so you can wear this for quite some time and be able to have that comfort. It's not feeling really heavy. It's not kind of pushing you over. It's not kind of pushing you over as you're trying to work. And so that's really kind of one of the main things. The other thing with this is you can manage it. I don't know how many nerds like me are in here, but you can manage it with security policies that you already most likely have in your ecosystem, things like Intune and MDM. So security protocols that are most likely your security department is already using, your IT department is going to say, wait, before you say, look at this cool thing and I really want to try it, because it's built on Azure and because we support some of those IT-based security measures, we get past security pretty quick when it comes to, are we going to be able to secure this? Are we going to be able to do a global deployment of it, really? I always just build this out. So from enabling it within your ecosystem, I talked about this a little, I'm not gonna spend too much more time on this, but really the point of this is it really can be in each and every aspect of your business. From selling, being able to have the sellers be out in the field and be able to show people exactly how that equipment will look or how that product will move. Collaborate when you're innovating on a product, being able to all have a HoloLens on and being able to see that piece of equipment, blow it up and be able to see all of the components that are in it and prototype and make sure that everything looks good and it learn how that is created. And then of course in product assembly and training, being able to understand exactly how to create that product, how to maintain it. And finally, in the service world, so being able to both maintain our internal pieces of equipment, but also provide support for our customers. There's another use case which I'll show you as well, where manufacturers are actually providing these mixed reality services as more of a white glove support for their customers. So hey, we have this new tier of support. You're going to, when you purchase a piece of equipment from us or this product from us, HP is doing it. I'll show you what that looks like. We're sending you a HoloLens. You can do a remote assist call to us if you have a problem with, the $1 million piece of equipment that you just purchased from us. Really giving them that white glove service to support their customers. Okay, hopefully this video will go. Do we have sound? The sound might not be there, but that's actually okay for this one because I can talk through it. So from a remote assist perspective, this is what this looks like. What you're seeing is of course, it does also work on your mobile, but what you're seeing is Azumi, our expert, is at her desk at either her home or her office, and she answered a Teams call from our field tech, and that Azumi is able to put those annotated arrows on there. She's able to tell her exactly where she needs to go within the space and talk her through these aspects. So it's not just like, hey, I'm gonna hold my phone up and yeah, no, not that wire, this one, you know? I mean, you're able to actually point and show exactly what you need to do as part of this maintenance process. And so super, super, powerful to be able to do that. It works within our, it sits on top of Dataverse, and so you're also able to, and I'll just advance so you guys can see a broader view of kind of what that view within the HoloLens looks like. But you're able to see that expert if you want to. Honestly, not a lot of people use the incoming video because they don't need to see that person. Scott's laughing, yeah. No one ever uses that one, or I don't know a lot of people that do. But because it's on Teams, you have that ability to, on the fly, add another individual. Like, oh, I'm not really sure how to help you here. Let me add, Joe, our machine expert, and you can add him to the call like you would any other Teams call. You can chat with the individuals on the call. You can share documentation just like you would in Teams. So on this call that Azumi had with our field tech, she was able to send her that document and say, hey, look at this while you're working on here. And she's able to pull that up on her HoloLens and be able to have that in space so she can see the things that she needs to be able to do her job. And one of the other aspects with this is it also is, you have the ability to save all of that the call, like the recorded call, any snapshots that you make within that call up to your Teams chat, of course, but also you can save that up to, assets that are within the system. So I was talking to somebody the other day, it sits on our Dataverse ecosystem. And so what that allows you to do is if you use any of our Dynamics 365 products, sales, field service, customer service, it uses that same database. And so the assets that you save up there from a customer or within your plant, those pieces of equipment, that product, it uses that same entity within there. And so you can save up all of the things that happen in that call directly up to that work order or directly up to that asset. If you're using something else to maintain your assets, you can use that Dataverse environment to pull in data from other ecosystems using our Power Automate and able to kind of see some of that information also within the application. So it makes it really kind of a data-rich environment where it's not even just mixed reality. It's kind of all of these things, bringing these things together so you can better get the assistant that you need when you need it. So I like showing this one because it's going to show that it does absolutely also work on mobile. Of course, like everything, if you have really, really old mobile devices and tablet devices, they don't have AR kits, it'll work. It's just not as efficient. Most newer devices with an augmented reality kit, you're able to have that remote assist call. And there you see, this is a really good picture of what those annotations look like. Both the remote assist runner and also those Teams folks have that same toolbar along the top. And so that person that has the remote assist can take annotations and things like that, but so can the other person. Where that gets powerful, that the remote assist person has that toolbar, is offline, not on a call. If they want to upload information against an asset in the database, they can go. We see this a lot when it comes to like maintenance or new equipment install, where they're like, I want to document what I did, and I want to make sure that Everyone knows how this piece of equipment was when I left it. And so they'll use remote assist to make a video. They can annotate the areas to focus on and kind of make a video and then save that up to their asset. So the next person that comes along can grab it. So lots of really, really cool things that you can do there. Yeah, go ahead. Do you have a question? Oh, yeah. Oh.
What have you done about, what tools do you use to do the noise cancellation? Because it's not on a factory floor. Right?
Yeah, so we do have people like on the factory floor. A lot of times people will use Bluetooth speakers or headsets to be able to really, especially when you're doing with a mobile device, because there's nothing that we can provide really for that. It has to be something where it's like a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. People have, I cannot remember the top decibel for the HoloLens that it drowns out. Sometimes that's sufficient. Sometimes people want to use a Bluetooth speaker for that. We also do have a company, Trimble, who makes a hard hat and HoloLens combined, and that's using your bone structure to be able to drown out a significant amount of decibels as well. So depending on what you need, there's kind of options there, also, of course, from a safety perspective. All right, hopefully my volume works. The Chevron guys are gonna recognize this video. This is gonna show how Chevron is using it on the oil rigs and how they have provided benefit. Maybe it will. Nope. Darn it, you might have to play it. Maybe. No, I'm just a black screen or white screen. I've just angered it. I won't touch it. We knew this was going to happen. It should be one prior. Cool. I might have to show the stagnant ones, like the just screenshot. Maybe. No dice. All right. All right. Well, I will send these. So one of the things that, and actually I'll just build this out and have the information there. So my first thing was Chevron has been using this as, and I think the guys can probably talk significantly about the different benefits that they've had from this, but what Chevron's doing is they have HoloLens, and instead of having, tons of people doing global travel to all these rigs, they're able to have virtual inspections and things like that while they're there, and really providing a good benefit to be able to not have so many people be traveling and get the assistance that they need in real time while on something like an oil rig. The other video that I was going to show was the HP one. If you go to hpservices.com, you can actually see their information on there, and you can look at a video of how they're actually helping people and providing that white glove service to their actual customers. So they're able to see exactly what they need to see. They're able to get that help and connect with an HP customer service representative right away when they need it. Super, super powerful. Some of the other use cases that we've seen for sure, and I always forget that I have this here so I don't have to be like craning. Definitely that audit and inspection application, being able to have people walk that plant floor, certainly in a maintenance perspective where people are able to, very quickly, get that assistance. So one of the big things that I always talk to people about is, especially when they are responsible for servicing their customers, is that first time fix, right? Like everyone wants to be able to have that first time fix. Having technology where that technician can go out and maybe it's a level 1 technician and they realize that it's a level 2 job, being able to call somebody and get augmented type support with them really has greatly increased our customers' first time fix rate when it comes to things like that. Hopefully at least this will play. Yes, cool. Don't need audio, I'm good. So this is kind of what that guides looks like. So this is really providing that step-by-step training for those folks on the plant floor or out in the ecosystem. So being able to have holographic images that show them exactly, how to turn something and how to place that on that piece of equipment. Being able to do a lot of the reporting and the support on your PC, and then being able to pop on that HoloLens to be able to create these guides makes it really easy to change things as well. So we provide these Power BI reports with guides so you can see how these tasks are being ran, the length of time that somebody stays on a particular task. So being able to get those metrics out of the system and then be able to very, very quickly pivot to change a step to better help people on the floor to be able to create these products is really one of the big things with guides. Hopefully this gives us a better view. Yep, okay, so within guides, of course, we're able to reduce those errors and help increase safety. So we're able to show them, and you're going to see that dotted line, you're going to show them exactly what they need to do, where they need to do the next step in the application. There's branching within here. So let's say they walk up to a piece of equipment and it could be one of 3 settings within that piece of equipment. They can say, okay, it's this PSI, and it can branch into what they need to do if it's at that setting on that piece of equipment. So being able to have truly an immersive experience while training really helps people not only learn, but I've seen this used a lot on new product rollouts. I'm out of Wisconsin, and there's a big tooling company in Milwaukee that had to send, in COVID, they had to send a bunch of their production lines down to their Monterrey, Mexico plant, but no one could go there. And so how do they support that? And how do they make sure that that plant can get up and running and those lines can be up and running and efficient quickly? What they did is they sent that plant, all of the equipment for that plant line down, but then they also sent HoloLens. And so they sent those down to there, and they used guides to train people how to set up that plant line and that production line, but then also equip them with remote assist if they run into any issues or have any questions, and they can quickly call somebody at corporate to be able to get assistance on any issues that they have. So they were able to fully move quite a bit of production lines down to Monterey when really you couldn't. There was no other, send paper manuals, maybe it gets squishy. So they were able to do that, very, very efficiently. And they did that all through their guides and remote assist experience. So just another kind of use case that ends up being really powerful. Hopefully my video will work. It might not. I don't know. But usually I have a video that shows how somebody is doing this, like using this for line changeovers as well. They're on this old piece of equipment. They're not 100% sure how to do that line changeover. Being able to pop open that guide, being able to pick the product that they need to start producing on that line, and then run a guide to show them exactly how to change over that piece of equipment instead of reaching out to somebody. Or I think Scott and I were talking about like the binders and binders of paperwork. Like 20-year-old doesn't want to go through binders and binders of paperwork. If we're hiring these people, they want some technology. They want to be able to see exactly what they're doing and have something a little nicer to work. So these are the three areas and components of guides. One is the ability to author. And like I said, you author it on your PC, and it really is kind of like creating a PowerPoint. If you have a ton of guides or training manuals and things like that are already set up, we can import them in for a baseline. But truthfully, the way that you create guides, it's much less words. You don't need as many words. And when you're doing it, so you end up trimming down those thousands of pages of manuals into a really, really slick guide, because you're able to do that on your PC. We give you a huge library of holographic images to use. And then you really only need to import if you have departments that have CAD drawings that you're starting to create some of your holograms and things like that, you can import those in to better enhance it. But you start on that PC, you identify those steps and what you want to do, and then you go into, you put that HoloLens on and do your QR code or your object anchor for it to identify the piece of equipment that guide is for, and then you start placing those arrows with your HoloLens off of those steps. So there's two modes within the application. There's an author and an operator. And so that author, that's kind of your last step. Okay, where am I placing these things? How am I anchoring this? How is it going to recognize the piece of equipment that I'm on? What are the tools that I need to do? If you're there, you're able to put all of those arrows where they need to go and be good to go. Just doing a time check. I think we got a little more time. And then, of course, operate, you saw within that video, that person just puts that on. They either scan the QR code that's there for them, or use object anchors to be able to scan the ecosystem and identify that piece of equipment, and then select what they want to do as part of that equipment. But then they're able to very quickly train up or refresh themselves of how to do something. You can embed, if you saw, you can embed images in that. If it's something where it's like, I just need to show them a little something more as part of this step, you can embed an image, you can embed a quick video within a step on that guide. So it really is hitting on all of those different ways to learn within each step. You can also reach out to any web-based application. So if there's an application at a step where you want them to enter in some data or add something, you can embed that in there. They can pop that up, open on their HoloLens and update there, or just reference a web page there. You can also embed a Power App into it as well. We have a lot of people do this from like a part request ordering type thing. They're at a certain step. If they see that they're low on a part, they can hit that Power App, it pops open, and then they're able to enter in, hey, we need more of this type of widget on the plant line. So embedding a lot of different applications into one to make it just really, really efficient for you to be able to learn or refresh your memory. A lot of our manufacturers will have like a HoloLens at the end of a plant line, and then those folks that maybe potentially have gone through training and just need that refresher, they don't have to bug someone or try and mess up a product. They can grab that HoloLens and then launch the guide that they are interested in and be able to really get that real-time assistance. Of course, it's on that Dataverse, and so you're able to analyze as well. You're able to use the Power BI reports to see which guides are being ran, what steps are being ran, who's running them, all that kind of good stuff.
So is this a Microsoft product?
Yeah.
The software is?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the licensing? Is it embedded? Or do we got to buy a license for each HoloLens? How does that work?
So for both Remote Assist and guides, they are either user-based licenses, so a named user, like our Office 365, any of our other Microsoft licenses, or there's device-based licenses. And so a lot of, especially on the plant floor, a lot of people will use the device-based licenses because any number of 20 folks on that plant line will pop on that HoloLens and want to run a guide or want to get assistance, and they don't really care as much for the metrics of who exactly ran this. They just need the help. And so you can have a device-based license or that name user license. Yep. The other thing that I forgot to mention in Remote Assist is we also do have the option for one-time calling and sending a one-time call link to a customer or a vendor that you might be working with. So if you're working with a vendor, you're working with a customer, and you really want to give them that Remote Assist experience, and they rarely call, or they are a customer, and so you just want to give them that, you can actually send a one-time call link to them, and they can launch a Remote Assist call back to that expert. You can schedule it for immediately. You can schedule it for, hey, next week, let's jump on a Remote Assist call, join from this link that I'm providing you, and you can provide your customer or vendor that. And that is just whoever generates that call link, that's the licensed user. So you're not licensing for every customer that needs to access or every vendor that needs to have that experience. I don't know if this will play. We'll see. I'm a little nervous. Even if without sound, I'd be happy. We looked and we hoped that all these auto-played, but apparently they do not. Maybe? I don't want to click because I don't want to try. Nope, it just went to the next one. Cool. All right, well, this one is at Lippert Industries. And they primarily use it for their plant line changeovers. And so the people on that plant line are able to put on that HoloLens and be able to, utilize the equipment. And one of the points that the guy makes that's in the video, the person that's working that equipment is, hey, I'm working on really old equipment on this plant line, but I feel like I'm at least, having this net new technology, being able to learn in a much better way that suits the way that I want to learn. And so I don't think for probably some individuals, those paper manuals, it's always that 80-20 rule, right? Like those paper manuals will probably never go away for some people. They always are going to want those paper manuals, but giving somebody the option to be able to have this type of training and being able to have it so immersive really, really helps in the training world. This one probably won't either, but this is Toyota. So Toyota also uses it quite a bit on their plant lines and for their training department. And so it's the trainer talking about how she can actually support the people on that plant line. They can use local resources because they don't need somebody that they have to know how to do this particular type of thing on the plant line. They're able to use guides to hire more quickly and more local resources to be able to work on these plant lines when they're running through it. So again, super cool. It's on our mixed reality application or website. So I just like this visual to kind of sum up some of the use. Oh, click too far. Gosh, I'm click happy. All right, to sum up some of the areas that from a manufacturing perspective, we've seen them use guides. A couple of those areas, right? So certainly assembly, something that we talked about quite a bit. Being able to teach somebody net new how to assemble something, refresh somebody, or start a new product line or tweak a new product line. Hey, you put on this guide and learn what the differences are between the last version of this product. Quality inspection, being able to run through that guide and make sure that the product was produced in the way that you want. Point out the particular areas on that product that quality needs to check to ensure that it was done the right way. And of course, that validation of that work and being able to identify and make sure that it's running the way that it needs to run or it's operating the way that it needs to run. Certainly within our asset management and maintenance, being able to make sure that we're maintaining our plant floor pieces of equipment, but also our customer pieces of equipment. And of course, I mentioned the line changeovers. So lots of really good ways. Our roadmap for this is super, super aggressive. And so you're gonna start seeing things like embedding data within it and being able to, visualize more of the information on that plant floor eventually as we start getting into more and more of our releases of mixed reality and guides specifically. So really, finally, I'd like to talk through a little bit of our ecosystem. Oh my gosh, that video is gonna work, cool. It's like a 10-second video. Oh, lovely. So within here, like I said, we have a super, super mature mixed reality portfolio. Really what we start with is our application layer. I'm gonna show you that 10-second video on Microsoft Mesh, but what that application layer is that's how do I use mixed reality, right? Like, what is in the hands of my individuals? How are they utilizing it? And that's going to be in applications like the remote assistant guides, Microsoft Mesh, our AltSpace VR. So being able to actually, what application are these people using to consume the mixed reality services that we have? Down below is our platform. These are all of the services that you have, and you can tap into these mixed reality services to custom develop your own. And many of our partners, we have a massive partner ecosystem that many were on the floor today. They've tapped into things like our remote rendering to show the digital twins, or our Azure Object Anchors. Not only do we use that within our first party, but also many people use Azure Object Anchors to identify where you are in space. And so it's really that layer of being able to, it's a platform layer where everything is interconnected. It can be interconnected if you want it, and we want to be able to support that. And then finally, the hardware. What is this running on? And originally mixed reality, it was like it's going to be, either a VR headset or a HoloLens or an augmented reality headset, and that is it. And really, we're expanding that. We want you to be able to use your PC and mobile for some of those applications as well. Of course, nothing's ever going to beat a heads-up hands-free experience. It just won't. But when you're in a pinch, or we want to, like I said, dip your toe into that mixed reality, you're able to use that. Finally, this is that Microsoft Mesh, being able to, this is preview. This is why I don't talk about it quite a bit in this presentation, but people are using this to prototype equipment. Hey, let's collaborate around a hologram of this equipment and be able to all see what you see. If I move this component, you move this component, that type of thing. Finally, just wanted to round it out. These are kind of the areas that we touched base on today, where we do really see the most value and the most significant use of some of these mixed reality applications across the ecosystem. People are doing all sorts of crazy things, but these are the main areas that we really see a lot of value, especially when you're first starting out. So with that, thank you. Hopefully, yeah, I'm good.